right, today we're going to be working on the fuel system, and I jacked the car up. I'm going to take those wheels off, and hopefully we don't have to drop the tank. I'm thinking there's like a little access door back there, and I'll take a look again. But let me show you what we got. I got some parts in finally. All right, guys, we got a few goodies here. So we'll start with the fuel rail. This rail is from JSP. I already installed it. We just kind of mock things up. He makes two different versions that come with a little bit bigger injector in case you want to run different injector setup. But pretty much this is the factory style injectors and everything. So I can just kind of hook everything up standard. Comes with 8 AM ports, and we're going to be reducing these to 6, and comes with the NTP here, but I'll put a link below. You can go over the features that it has on it. Here's my Radium gauge we put in here, and then this is our fuel pulse dampener. Now, I was a little bit unfamiliar with these when I first got into them. I noticed that the factory one does have one on it, and I was kind of wondering, like, what is this? Do I need it? What the hell is going on with it? So I did a little research, and there's a bunch of different companies that offer these, and there's also a bunch of different kinds. So I figured to stick with sort of factory setup, OEM plus, I guess we'll call it. So this one is from Radium, and what this does is take your the pulsations out of the injectors. And sometimes, I guess, for tuning, again, correct me if I'm wrong, that your injectors create a certain pulse that this will just dampen that and make everything kind of smooth. Again, I'm no expert, but I figured to keep things closer to stock, this will fit on here, and we'll just run it. So that's that. Next up is our fuel pressure regulator. Now, I was going to run your standard regulator off the rail, you know, and then you can adjust it to whatever PSI you want, but push comes to shove, did a little research, and this one is off of a Corvette, a C5, and this runs 60 PSI, which the beams needs a 58 PSI. So we're pretty close, or almost right on, so this is what I'm going to go with. There's two options of these. These are real easy to get. A lot of people use these for swaps, LS1 swaps, and all whatever cars. But the two options that I'm speaking of is that this one has the AN style fittings brazed on already, which is nice. The other ones will not. They'll be kind of a factory push lock system, which would be like this. And to convert those to AN, this is the fitting you need. And you have to just slip it on, it pops on, and then it'll swivel, but you can also put an AN on here, and it won't leak because it's push lock style. But I didn't want to do that, so we're going with these. This also has a filter inside, so I don't think I'll be running an external filter, you know, with this setup. Last but not least is our pump. Now, I was dead set on going with a 255 Walbro. That's good for 600, not like we need it, but it's readily available, and there's a bunch of different versions of a 255 pump. So Walbro makes one, MSD makes one, there's a few different companies, so they're easy to get at a great price. I got a deal on the AM. I haven't used AM before, so here we are. This is a 340, and this pump is maybe 700, I've heard, on the 85. That usually more than what we need, but it's here. So it comes with a dampener, your fuel sock, and pump assembly itself. And then this is a little guy that goes on the bottom of your sock. I think it goes here or something like that to kind of lock it in place. Comes with some wiring, connector, and it also comes with another dampener. So I've been following Speed Academy's build pretty close, and they're doing a Celica. I don't know if they're done with it yet. I'm kind of following suit to them, plus or minus a little different stuff. But as far as the fuel pump goes, this is pretty much spit and image of what they're doing. The fuel sock that comes with the AM is kind of a weird shape, and it's going to sit kind of like this once you get it in the tank. And the reason being is underneath the tank, there's a little cradle underneath there, and that's where the pump is going to sit. So this is going to kind of sit on the bottom, and it'll be sitting like that, which is not really the ideal what we're looking for. So they recommended to get a new sock. This is from TF Works. I ordered a lot of parts from GTR there, and I'll put the part numbers below. This is from a 240SX, S13 I think S14, same thing, as well as the 15. But this is $5, and those guys are pretty good about shipping and everything. This will bolt right on here, or not bolt, but snap right on here, and you can tell the difference. You know, this will be sitting like that, and the other one will be sitting kind of curled up. So hopefully once we get in the tank, I haven't opened it up yet, but once we get in there, it's the same as the Speed Academy's Celica. Mine is a lift back, theirs was a coupe. Gas tanks are different, so we're gonna kind of play it by ear. Just hopefully we're not opening Pandora's box, and we don't have to do any more fabrication for this. So let's go. I guess we'll put the rail on first, and we'll start from the rail back, and then we'll get into the tank. So let's go ahead and finish this up, and then we'll go backwards into the tank. Use everything together. Got our dampener on there and our gauge. So put these injectors in. We should be good to go. I generally like to have like a little bit of oil on here, or some dielectric grease or something to help them kind of slide in easier. But since this was already installed, this should go in pretty easy because I already did that. Same with on these guys. Put a little stuff on there and everything will slide in nice and easy. And find their home. I've yet to find some bolts for these. These kind of suck. Having a hard time finding the thread pitch actually for some reason, but I wanted to put some Allen heads or some button heads in there or something. So sooner or later. So since I put our adapter on here, here's our 6AN fitting, I decided to run the fuel line coming from the back up the front. Kind of hides things underneath, so you won't really see anything. So we'll see how that goes. There also is a nice spot to tie it up underneath here, so it'll be nice and sleek under there. And then there's a nice spot here on the tranny or maybe the starter. I have to still find something. Snake it back in there, you won't even see it. It'd be nice. So, all right, let's move on to making this line here. Not really much to do here. I found some line that I've had, so I think I'm gonna go with the longer one, which is that one. Just leave it long and kind of run it back all the way to the fuel pressure regulator. Yeah, I guess. Oh, I think this is 8AN. Yeah, crap. I have to get some 6AN line. I thought I had enough. Apparently I do, but it's 8. Sick. All right, now onto the tank. Let's see what's under this guy. So I'm gonna be kind of careful with these bolts. I don't know how long they've been in. It seems like they may come out pretty easy. Perfect. So I can see they already tapped into something here. And I think this was our fuel pump, mechanical one, or not mechanical, but our electrical aftermarket one. That was underneath the car before when I took everything apart. So we're gonna take these lines off, and then we'll try to remove everything else and see what's going on here. Oh man, these things are barely on there. I think someone's probably been in here before. Oh wow. There's a spot for a fuel pump right there. Let's kind of see what's going on here. Let's bring this over to the bench and better see what's up. All right, so let's kind of dissect this thing here. We got two isolated grommets here that go through and to this plug. The top one was the one that they had tapped into. I'm just curious to why there is kind of like a little bracket here to hold the pump when there's actually no pump in it. What was on this car was an external electric pump that was added on to the carburetor system. Here's your suction tube, I guess, your feed, and this is where your pump would be. So we'll modify the pump to fit in here, figure something out, and then we'll use this guy. I'll clean everything up, and we'll use this one for our power, and then we'll use probably our own. I'll probably make my own ground, unless I can grab a ground somewhere inside here. But first things first, let's kind of dismantle this thing and clean it up a bit. So that's the best it's gonna get. I tried my best, but this stuff is pretty cruddy. So let's go ahead and remove this little guy here. Let's grab our pump here and see what we got going on. So I don't really have a plan of attack here, just kind of going at it, but what I think is going to happen is that I'm just going to use a little hose to connect to our pump and a little short guy, and then from there I'll try to secure it the best way I could, and then maybe we should try to figure out how deep this guy goes. But I mean, this hose was only sticking out, I think it was kind of like that, right? Yeah, probably like that. So I would imagine that our sock should want to sit somewhere there, kind of the same height. So we'll do that. Whatever depth this is here, that's where we're going to put the sock. Now let's go ahead and screw around with this a little bit before we jump the gun. That hose was a bit of a squeeze on there, but we got it. Put this guy on here. Pretty good. Oh, first problem here. Your float kind of needs to squeak by here, so that is going to be a little bit of an issue. Let's take everything apart and see if we can do that. Okay, so apparently this is what we got. This thing sits like this, and this guy should be right here, parallel with that. So we're gonna have to kind of figure out how to make this clear in order to do that, because this is the way it should be. That. This is how it should go. So that kind of sucks. I'm gonna go ahead and chop this a little bit, the insulator, and see if we can make some clearance for this, our gauge here, but I think that's gonna be tough also. This is gonna be pretty tough. Let's see. Maybe I'll just tweak this whole arm over. That's the only thing I think we can do. I'm just gonna see what happens. I'll bend this over a little bit. And it seemed to work, but now our pump is kind of sitting weird, and this is really, well, it's really close, but I think we may be all right. Let's give that a shot and see what happens. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the tank and see if that works or not. Pump is definitely hitting the bottom, so about a ½ inch off. So let's go and pull this out, and then we can kind of lift the pump up a little bit. All right, so what I did here was I took off that little clamp that was kind of around there. Ended up just doing a zip tie. I'll redo this again. I want to put 2 on here, and I also cut this down a little bit so I can have a little clearance for our gauge here. But let's go ahead and see if this works now. I moved it up about a ½ inch. Did it. I want to take this little gasket out to see if we're actually hitting without this. This is probably, I don't know, 1/8 inch thick. I would like to be really close to it, but the bottom, but I don't know if that's going to work here. Yep, we're hitting. So I'm pretty spot on. Should have got that rag, but let's go back over to the bench, fix this up, make it final, and then we can wire up everything, and that's it. Okay. All right, so I went ahead and took everything apart and working on the wiring here a little bit. I went ahead and drilled a hole through the top here and made a little stud. I don't know if you can see that, but what that will be is for the ground. I'm kind of anal about ground, so I don't know if the insulator, I was going to ground it here, but the insulator's in between, the nut, I don't know. So we'll just use it there. So I'm going to strip these back, and I'll show you what is going on. So these are going to go around here. Let's put this on first. Attach my ground, because that one's going to be kind of a pain to get to. That. This little guy will go in there. Bring our power around here, and then we'll just tuck the wires, you know, in here. Now let's get this on first, and then we'll worry about tidying things up. I don't really have a wrench this small, so kind of doing what I can here. I think we'll be fine. That's probably good. I think that'll do it. So let's go ahead and put this guy in. Everything's pretty straight. This guy's making clearance, so I'm happy with what we got. And like I said, we'll either ground this to the chassis or maybe even right to the battery with a little guy, just to be safe. And then this top piece here is going to be our power. So we'll know that. This is our feed with a little blue line on it. Let's go put this in. So I'm gonna leave this cap off here, and what I'll do is rewire this to grab some power off of this, because this line is just going up to the front. I have to kind of figure out what that is, but I think we're gonna want this key on, so we'll know what's going on, because that's obviously our power for a pump. So this line here, I'm gonna end up probably reusing and cutting and then splicing into maybe a barb fitting to AN. I'll show you once we get underneath, but ideally I'd like to use one of these, but our factory line is way too thin for that. So we need 6 AN, it just won't work. Let's go underneath. I still need to rip out all the fuel lines from the old build or whoever had this last, and then we'll run our 6 AN from the front all the way to the back. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, guys, so this is what we got underneath here. Here's your filter, and then this is the pump. So this probably goes underneath the dash or something like that, but whatever, we're changing the wiring. So let's take all this out. I'm sure there's probably still some gas in here, so I'm just gonna kind of let it do its thing, and if it wants to spill, then it's gonna spill. Hopefully it doesn't go in my mouth. Yep. Actually, there's quite a bit. So let's get something to put underneath. Okay. That was stupid. Of course, that's what we do. Okay. I'm acting a little more professional, right? Takes to a mount. Alright, so here's our new setup here. I don't know where I'm going to run this. I was going to put it on the side here. But see, that's not going to work. And we'll have to do what they did. Probably going to end up back here, right there. Something like that. And then we'll run a 90 off of this. And then we can run some straights. Maybe some straights off of that. Let's see. All right, guys, looking into this a little further, I did find out that this line here off of the regulator would be your return line. So any unused fuel will be dumped back in the tank. And how that's done is through that little hose that I thought was a vent for the tank on top of the sending unit. So how this will work is I'm going to use a straight here, and I'm going to use a 90 over here. Now we're just talking about the feed line at the moment. So what will happen is your pump that I just installed will be feeding the center, and then going through here, and this will feed the rail. And any unused fuel will be pushed through here back to that little hose. So AKA our return style system. I'm used to having a fuel regulator up near the rail, and then you regulate pressure that way, and then you run a line all the way back alongside of the feed. So I'm kind of unfamiliar with this setup. Very simple, but yeah, let's go install it. We'll do our feed setup first, and then we'll come back and hook our return up because it's already back there. So, all right, let's go do that. This line here seems to be part of our EVAP system, which I'm probably going to be removing. So we're going to kind of just bend this out of the way for now, and we'll come back to this and take this out. So this is going to kind of sit here. This, I'm assuming 90. Seems like a 45 will work. A 45 will be fine. You can even go up with it, maybe, I don't know. Ideally, I'd like to have another straight on there, but I'm kind of using what we got, so I think this is fine. Maybe I'll order a straight. Yeah, I'll probably do a straight for a return, but anyway, I'm gonna leave a little room in case I need to take that fitting off. Oh, there's somewhere. So here is this guy. And then here's our return. And then this is going to be our feed. So what I'm going to do is end up running a barb fitting, like I said, on here. And then we'll run this as an AN line all the way to here. So let me grab that barb fitting. We can take some measurements. So barb fitting, if you can see. Go around here, tighten that guy down. And 5 inches. So let's go put a little hose on this. I'll come right back. Okay. So that's that. So there's our feed line. Our return, we're just gonna do kind of the same thing. Now let's work on our feed line here and see what's up. All right, here's our hose. We got 10 feet. I think what I'll do is I'll just end up putting one of these on, and we'll start from the front all the way to the back, and then we'll secure it up, see what's up, take some measurements, and then we'll tie everything together. That's that. There's our line. I kind of tidied everything up. Let's see if I can show you guys underneath here. I mean, it's pretty straightforward once you get everything together here. I just kind of use some zip ties, made everything nice and tight. Goes up in there, and then obviously to our regulator and inside. All right, guys. So that's that. All the fuel system is done. I'm excited to kind of finish that up and put that to bed. It's pretty simple. you know, just have to take your time, and you may have to monkey around, obviously, as you saw with the fuel pump hanger, or whatever it's called there, the sending unit. So that was sort of exciting, a little nerve-wracking, but all in all, we pulled through. So next up is going to be our suspension, brakes, and I think that's pretty much it. I got a bunch of parts in. There's 0 instructions. I haven't opened anything yet, so we'll be going through that fairly soon. I'll probably do one side, and then I'll show you guys how I did that after, so we're not fumbling around. But anyway, regardless, stay tuned. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.